All right, on the left of my screen here, we're looking at what's going on in Washington, D.C. right now, where the House is debating a measure that they hope will pass that calls for the $5 billion the president wants for wall funding, tying it as well to a number of other things that Democrats would want as well. I could get into the weeds here. Suffice it to say, this is a last opportunity here, a gambit, if you will, to keep the government open past Friday. And it's anyone's guess how it would go, because even if it passes the House, then it would have to go to the Senate. No guarantees there, even with the Republican majority that it would pass there. With me now is the former CKE restaurant CEO, Andy Puzder. Andy, we do this with the backdrop of markets selling off, concerns about whether the bull market has lost some steam here, whether the uncertainty around things like this and the prospect for interest rates in the next year. A lot of uncertainty out there, and it's rattling folks. Are they over-rattled or what?
You know, well, number one, people are over-rattled, and we can come back to that. But number two, the shutdown, you really can't put the country's national interest at risk here because of what's going on in the stock market. This is a national security issue. Schumer, Pelosi, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama were all in favor of increasing border security, even voted for a wall on the border. I know Schumer did for sure. Now they're playing politics with it. It's because President Trump wants to do it that the Democrats are broadly opposed to it. That has to stop. Our national security is at risk. What the president's doing is right. That's a correct thing to do. And though it may shake up the market, he still needs to do this. As far as interest rates, look, the Fed's raised interest rates 8 times in 24 months. That's once every 3 months. That's since the election in November of 2016. Prior to that election, when Obama was president, they raised interest rates once. Now they need to raise them. They need to go up so they've got an arrow in their quiver if we have another recession. But they're going up too fast. There's been too many increases. I'm not at all surprised that the market's reacting. I think it's overreacting, but I'm not surprised it's reacting this way.
Do you think any of this is on the president? Now, obviously, he liked them going up, and now they're going down. No president likes that. But is any of that on the mixed signals he has been sending, certainly regarding the Federal Reserve, regarding about what he wants to do with our troops in Syria? That's rattled some folks. Just that he's kind of all over the map.
You know, I think that what the president's doing can have an impact on the market. I think the China trade has an impact. I think that these are impacts that wouldn't be as significant but for what the Fed's doing. I think the real impact here is the Fed. And if you look at the market before the Fed announced the interest rate increase and was not indicated it wouldn't be as accommodative next year as people expected it to be, that's when you saw this huge drop in the market. I mean, the Fed is driving this, and I don't think the Fed should design policy to the point where they're being driven by what the market wants. But I do think they need to look at economic growth, and what they're doing could have a negative impact on this really strong U.S. economy that we have. And we would all hate to see that. I think that's a bigger danger than what's happening in the stock market.
I understand you pointing a finger at the Fed, many haven't all, but a lot of it does go back to the president. The only reason I say on the trade policy, which might be welcome to get tough with China, but that too is playing into this, and this trade, the stuff and the threatened tariffs and the rest are materially affecting the price of a lot of the goods that are at play here, and by extension our markets.
Well, there has been some impact on goods. It hasn't been a substantial impact. I mean, inflation is not going up to any significant degree. Part of that's the fact that oil's so low. But the reality is we export to China about $130 billion worth of goods a year. That was for last year, 2017. You look at our $21 trillion economy, that's about 0.5%. It's almost a rounding error. So, and if you reduce imports, that actually improves GDP. So if we're importing less from China, we import about $506 billion from China. That would actually improve GDP. But all we're going to lose on export, the maximum we can lose is $130 billion. I think the president knows that. I think the Chinese know that. I think they're going to come to an agreement. I do think that impacts the market, but I don't think it impacts it anywhere near the amount that the Fed does.
All right, we shall see. Thank you, my friend. Hope you have a Merry Christmas. Andy Puzder, the former CEO of CKE Restaurants. What's amazing about him, he worked in the fast food industry for decades, didn't gain a pound. I dislike that.